and the Princess Royal and the Earl of Forfar.
The first time a woman has taken part in the Vigil of Princes, is that correct?
That's true,
yeah.
That's true.
So significant for all sorts of reasons. And as now the cortege moves out from the centre of Edinburgh and makes its way to the airport, again, crowds of people, some of them clapping, some of them just watching in quiet reflection, and Scotland once again putting its finest face forward. Magnificent weather, looking beautiful.
It's such a magnificent city, Mary, Edinburgh, just in the foothills of the castle there, which stands atop that ginormous rock right in the middle of Edinburgh. And as it makes its way along Johnston Terrace, if you were to look up to the right of your screen there, you would see the castle looking down. In fact, there might be the shadows from the castle itself as the Queen's car drives into it. It's just the most remarkable place. And we said more than once in the past 24 hours how fitting it has been that Scotland has played such a significant part of this week. And that's only because the Queen passed at Balmoral.
Beautiful blue skies. I lose count of the number of Scots I met yesterday who said, this weather isn't very Scottish, but it's
weather we needed.
Could not be better for what Scotland has given the Queen right now.
Well, yesterday you were calling it challenging weather, which drew some amusement from the citizens of Scotland that I was staying with.
That was not challenging. It was a breath of wind, wasn't it? But I mean, this is really glorious. And people out lining the route.
Yes, the journey she's making now is about just over 8 miles from the very centre of historic Edinburgh all the way to the airport. It's going to take about 40 minutes, and in the car behind the hearse there is her daughter, Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, and her husband, Admiral Sir Timothy Lawrence. And they themselves will be on that transport plane I mentioned earlier as the coffin is carefully carried. I think the bearer party, Bill, you know this better than I, at the airport is going to be formed by the RAF.
Royal Air Force. The Queen's Colour Squadron of the Royal Air Force, so the ceremonial part of the Royal Air Force Regiment. One point of detail, we're seeing here the sovereign standard for Scotland. When the coffin is in flight on the aeroplane, it will be replaced by the sovereign standard, which is the one we normally see flying over the palaces here in London.
I think, if my memory is right, we're coming up to Princes Street at the top of the screen there, which is the famous shopping street in Edinburgh, which actually, as much as it's pretty old, it's called the New Town in Edinburgh, and where the streets are named after Hanoverian kings. So you've got George Street. In fact, where the First Minister has her official residence is Charlotte Square. So the Queen is now passing through an area of Edinburgh that's named after those who held this reign, this title before her many, many years ago.
And the Queen very proud of her Scottish roots. Her mother, of course, Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon, was Scottish, and the Queen always spoke very fondly, didn't she, of her times at Balmoral and elsewhere in Scotland as a child, and she loved it there.
Yes, and I think once again we're talking about the Crown of Scotland might not have had the prominent position that it's had over the past 24 hours. Well, it wouldn't have done because it wouldn't have been part of the ceremony of saying goodbye to the late Queen. The very fact that the Crown of Scotland, which was made for James V, it's got Scottish gold around the bottom. Do you remember seeing that last night?
Yes, pearls and all sorts of jewels. Very beautiful.
And look, there we go. I mean, what a beautiful place.
Magnificent, isn't it?
And so fitting that Edinburgh's been able to say its goodbyes to the Queen of Scotland in the way that it has ever since she arrived in the city after that long, long journey by car from Balmoral.